Listen, man, this Caitlyn Clark versus Stephanie White thing could turn ugly, and it could turn ugly fast, y'all. I have to be straight up with y'all. Stephanie White wants to play the polar opposite way that Caitlyn Clark wants to play. The Indiana Fever got a big win yesterday, and it was a tale of two halves. The first half, the Indiana Fever played that Stephanie White style, that grinded out, ugly, puke basketball. Puke basketball in the first half. The second half, Caitlyn Clark, even though she was making shots, went full throttle, pedal to the metal, and was running. She was just flat out running, pushing the tempo. And what did we do? We go put up almost 100 points. We go score 99. And I'm hearing about this altercation in the tunnel or around halftime. And if it happened, I'm glad it happened. And it needs to continue to happen. And Caitlyn Clark needs to continue to put her foot on their neck, because this is her
feeling that is now trending on the internet. An on-court struggle for control of the Indiana Fever is taking place. What if I told you, though, that this brawl, this open, unsightly altercation between a rookie sensation and her head coach wasn't an accident? What if everything was a part of a larger, more merciless scheme that was planned from the front office rather than the sidelines? We will approach this video as though its title were a serious assertion. We are here to look into the growing body of information that indicates the mayhem currently occurring in Indiana is not the result of malfunction, but rather a calculated ploy to replace Stephanie White, which was planned in secret by the same people who recruited her. Furthermore, what's taking place right now isn't the smoking gun or the most important piece of evidence. That's what they did to their previous coach. Show us you're on the correct frequency by hitting the like button if you're the type of analyst that sees past the slick takes to uncover the true narrative unfolding behind the scenes. It communicates to the algorithm that you are looking for the truth. All right, let's make the connection. You must first comprehend Christy Sides' dangerous situation in order to comprehend Stephanie White's. For those of you who are not following the craze prior to Caitlyn Clark's tenure, the organization took a step that observers continue to find puzzling. Coach Sides performed what many believe to be a huge lift in the 2024 season. She led the Indiana Fever to the postseason as their coach. What was her prize, though? She was sacked by the front office. Yes, you heard correctly. The coach was fired after they advanced to the postseason. Exhibit A is this one act. This is an unmistakable statement from the front office of the Indiana Fever. This situation does not fit the typical criteria for success. IT was not enough to make the playoffs. They demonstrated that if they think it advances a longer-term goal, they are prepared to make brutal, startling choices. Now that the precedent has been established, you must wonder why Stephanie White was hired. Let's examine that question in more detail. The hire appeared to be a wise PR strategy at first glance. A legend in the franchise, Stephanie White is a former player who is coming home from the Fever's heyday. Although the story writes itself, we narrative analysts need to dig a little more. White had just been released by the Connecticut Sun. Therefore, the deep search file verifies that she was accessible. That isn't a criticism of her skills, but it does bring up an important management issue. Do you hire a coach who is recently dismissed by a rival if your front office recently fired a playoff coach due to the astronomically high standards? Or do you think they'll adhere to a bigger goal, which is why you hired them? The plot gets more complicated at this point. The front desk was fully aware of who they were drafting and who they were hiring. They were aware that Stephanie White was known for her more conventional, structured half-court style of play, which some have dubbed gripped-out basketball. They were also aware that Caitlyn Clark is a generational offensive force who plays quickly and spontaneously and thrives in anarchy. IT is not necessary to be a WNBA general manager to recognize this issue. You're trying to make two totally different basketball ideologies work together by combining them into one container. It was an expected collision. Indeed, several pundits anticipated this outcome long ago.
It's only a matter of time, bro, that Caitlyn Clark was going to obviously have words with Stephanie White. We noted that she's been running this motion offense, and Caitlyn Clark cannot get in the rhythm. A lot of people thinking Caitlyn Clark hurt. I don't believe she's hurt. I believe Caitlyn Clark cannot simply get into rhythm. That's why she has not been shooting very well. And I was one of the first people to tell y'all this was going to happen. Told y'all about a week ago, Caitlyn Clark was going to come back. And if nothing is going to change, we're going to see the same Caitlyn Clark we seen right before.
Away. He is entirely correct. Clark was unable to find her rhythm because of the system. This wasn't merely a time of transition. Another critic bluntly described this as a fundamental contradiction between Clark's pedal to the metal attack that broke records in college and White's ugly puke basketball. This conflict was brought about by the front office. They had to be aware that this conflict was imminent. Why is the only logical question that emerges? Why put your star player and your coach on a collision track right away? The explanation for this is both smart and cynical. You put them on a collision course to produce indisputable proof of dysfunction for the public. The front office would appear to be tyrannical if Stephanie White was sacked arbitrarily. However, the front office isn't the bad guy if the team openly collapses under her direction and the chemistry appears to be broken on national TV. They're the ones who must intervene and mend a damaged situation. And that's precisely what began to occur. On-court mayhem between teammates started to reflect the inevitable conflict between coach and star. All of a sudden, the body language was more important than the wins and losses. Videos of seasoned players, including Natasha Howard, supposedly freezing out their rookie star during possessions where she was wide open were shown to us repeatedly. It became so severe that other analysts had to.
Hey, if you guys didn't see Natasha Howard looked off Caitlyn Clark to end the third quarter. She looked off Caitlyn Clark to end the third quarter in what was just incredibly dumb play. And again, I do want to apologize about the size. Of these clips. If I make the clips any bigger, I will get copyright claims. If you're wondering why I'm not doing any breakdowns and why people aren't doing that, they're going to copyright claim. So, if you didn't see here, Natasha Howard looks off Caitlyn Clark to run to nowhere, takes 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 steps, does the cha-cha slide, and gets it to Caitlyn Clark with 3 seconds to go, and she has to shoot a tough step back.
A rather stupid play. That was the description. This was not an isolated incident. It started to happen frequently. And this is where the strategy begins to pay off. A reaction is produced by the malfunction. Caitlyn Clark launches her own silent protest after being forced to play in a system that stifles her and failing to receive the ball. And that resulted in the shoe-tying incident, one of the season's most widely shared and, to be honest, strange moments. Although it seems insignificant, it was a huge breakthrough in the field of story analysis.
Let's take a look at the clip here. People talking about body language, people talking about Caitlyn is fed up. They're talking about how Howard is just selfish with the ball. Let's just take a look at it, man. So she dumps it down. Watch Caitlyn's shoulders here. She kind of like, Then she goes to tie her shoes as Howard goes to work and misses the layup, man. Oh, my goodness. Now, tying your shoes is kind of diabolical. Now, I've seen it before where players take a little time to kind of tie their shoes if they're out of the play and they know they're not going to get the ball or something like that. But, yeah.
Diabolical signal. Although that's a powerful word, it fits. This is more than simply a disappointed player. By intentionally leaving a possession, this player is making a strong statement to her teammates and, more significantly, the thousands of spectators and journalists. The argument is strengthened by each widely shared freeze-out video and every instance of evil body language. It records turmoil for the public to see. There is no need for the front desk to speak. They may simply relax and allow the on-court drama to craft the precise story they require to demonstrate how radically flawed this iteration of the Indiana Fever under this coach is. The tension that was brewing on the court couldn't continue to be passive. This kind of planned anarchy requires a single big event to tip the scales. A turning point that garners media attention and compels people to choose sides. And the front office received precisely that, according to numerous reports. All right, we are now in the realm of widely publicized rumors. However, the event has been discussed by a number of commentators and is an excellent example of the pattern of conflict escalation. A particular flash site is indicated by the Deep Search dossier. the aftermath of the Atlanta Dream versus Indiana Fever's game. As they say, rumors circulated that Clark and White's disagreement had finally reached a boiling point.